And for part 3 of this series, we have the Scott Coker era. So let's get right into it. Scott Coker, he is going to be introduced here as the president of Bellator, and he's going to talk to you a little bit about how he's going to try to modernize the product, bring it more into how MMA is operating now, a little bit away from the tournament format, and then we're going to get into some events, some of his early events, and how he shaped the company at the start of his tenure.
Executive to Bellator. So before I turn it over to Scott, I just want to say that I will be available on this call to answer your questions, but keep in mind that I'm not going to be making any more comments regarding Bjorn or Tim. It's my pleasure to introduce Scott Coker.
Thanks, Kevin. I tell you, it feels good to be back. I'm excited to team up with Spike and Viacom, who, as you guys know, have played a very integral role in the success of mixed martial arts over the last decade. I see a lot of potential in Bellator. I'm thrilled to have the opportunity to build a brand and take it to the level that I think that me and my team can do. We got world-class fighters already in-house: Eddie Alvarez, Will Brooks, Michael Chandler, Shemenko, as well as some seasoned veterans like Joe Warren, King Mo, Rampage, and Tito Ortiz. And with a partner like Spike, the best in the business of promoting and broadcasting the sport of mixed martial arts, we have all the ingredients for success. We have a great opportunity, a great platform, again, great fighters. And as we move forward, my plan is to evolve the league from the tournament format that we've all known to see on Spike TV to a more traditional format where the fans get to see the fights that they want, more of a super fight format. Will we ever do tournaments again? Sure, we will do tournaments when the situation makes sense. And I feel that a tournament has a place in the sport of mixed martial arts, but the timing has to be right, the fighters have to be right, and we'll determine that.
And the first event that we're going to talk about that is promoted by Scott Coker, and I think it kind of shows the direction that the company wants him to bring the promotion. That's Bellator 123, and it was a big card. You look at the action on it. You had Pat Curran defending his belt against Patricio Pitbull in the rematch. You had King Mo on the card. You had Chet Congo on the card. You had the debut of Bobby Lashley in Bellator. So there were some things that people were excited about for that card, but really what it's best known for is what happened after and that whole infamous scene there. So we're going to look at Bellator 123, look at a little bit of promo, how the fights went down, and then what I'm talking about, what happened after the fights. So let's get into it.
Curran! Patricio Pitbull's a beast.
Friday, September 5th, Curran Pitbull 2 for the featherweight world title.
Oh my God! Pat Curran does not disappoint. Those were thunderous shots by Pitbull.
Plus, King Mo, Brennan Ward, and Chet Congo return.
Wow!
And Bobby Lashley makes his Bellator debut. Live at Mohegan Sun Arena. Get your tickets now at the box.
Pack Mohegan Sun in Uncasville, Connecticut for our season opener. Let's get right to it in the heavyweight division. LeVar Johnson versus Chet Congo.
LeVar Johnson, known for his first round finishes. He was looking for another one tonight, but got reckless against Chet Congo through a right hand and ended up on the canvas. Chet Congo from there moving to mount. And then here, LeVar Johnson making the fatal mistake, giving up his back. And look at the rear naked choke finish from Chet Congo. No way out of that for LeVar Johnson.
Career win number 22, just the fourth by way of submission for the Frenchman, Chet Congo. Staying in the heavyweight division, next up, Josh Burns versus Bobby Lashley.
Josh Burns, depending on his boxing in this fight, but needed to stay on his feet to use it, and he could not accomplish that against Bobby Lashley. Lashley moving back and forth between submission attempts and ground and pound, and taking Burns down at will until Burns also made the mistake of giving up his back here, and a standing rear naked choke finish for Bobby Lashley.
The reigning TNA World Heavyweight Champion Bobby Lashley claims victory in his Bellator debut. On then to the middleweight division, Tamden McCrory taking on previous Bellator tournament winner Brennan Ward.
This entire fight was a highlight. You will see it in its entirety here. McCrory waiting for Brennan Ward to come in swinging wild, and that's exactly what Ward did, eating punches. We'll see the setup here. Left hook over the top was the beginning. The right hand was the end. A walkaway knockout for Tamden McCrory in the first round.
McCrory taking just 21 seconds to win his Bellator debut. Next up, light heavyweights, Dustin Jacoby, the Glory veteran, versus King Mo.
King Mo, known for his wrestling and his boxing, started out wrestling, but not afraid to throw hands with the kickboxer Jacoby. You see here the right hand started it over the top. Jacoby, to his credit, tried to answer back, but was on unsteady legs, and once he hit the canvas, that was the beginning of the end. A ground and pound finish for King Mo.
Career win number 13 for King Mo. And finally tonight, our main event, the fight for Bellator's featherweight world title, Patricio Pitbull versus the champion, Pat Curran.
An unbelievably action-packed and close fight the first time around. The second fight, just as close. It was the accuracy and volume of Pat Curran versus the power of Patricio Pitbull this time around, though. Pitbull landing more meaningful strikes and leveling Pat Curran in the fifth round with heavy punches. He stayed on his feet, but the judges rewarded Pitbull's power with a unanimous decision victory.
The incredibly emotional win for Patricio Pitbull earns him Bellator's featherweight world championship.
So there you see the action that we had during the card. We had, obviously, all the results that you saw there. The biggest one being Patricio Pitbull taking the belt from Pat Curran. And that was a bit of a monumental moment because Pat Curran never became a Bellator champion after this fight. And it was kind of the end of his run at the top of that division. So Patricio Pitbull, we know, goes on to become one of the biggest, if not the biggest star in Bellator history. And this was one of his first major key wins against another legend that got him in that direction. But besides the action that happened on the card, I'm going to show you what happened during the event that had everyone talking. And we saw the TNA world champion apparently fighting on the card with Bobby Lashley. And we're going to see them move even further into wrestling world with this whole setup here.
In San Diego, California, we got two mixed martial arts Hall of Famers that are going to get it on. And one, well, they both don't need an introduction, but I'm going to introduce them anyway. One is Tito Ortiz. And he'll be fighting another mixed martial arts Hall of Famer, Mr. Stefan Bonner.
They are right here. I have the American Psycho, Stefan Bonner. Stefan, I've never heard the announcement of signing a fighter and had them call out another fighter with the kind of venom with which you called out Tito Ortiz, called him a virus, said you're going to cure it. How do you plan to do that?
Can I borrow this for a second? I'll give it right back. I promise. I promise. I promise. How many Tito Ortiz fans do we have here? You know why you're Tito Ortiz fans? Because you don't know him. It amazes me how many of his old friends, coaches, training partners, managers have come out of the woodwork to help me because they want to see him get his ass kicked. Everyone says the same thing. He's the most selfish, self-absorbed, arrogant sack of crap they've ever met. And the only thing bigger than his head is his inflated ego. The proof of that is right here. This guy helped him win many world championships. You might recognize him for being in his corner for all those fights. And all he had to give him in return for thanks was nothing. Flushed him down the toilet like a turd. I can't wait to be in the cage with Tito. I can't wait to eat his elbows and punches, to be covered in blood, so I can laugh at him, spit in his face, and kick his ass. All I gotta say to you is, poor Jenna. I don't know how she put up with you all those years.
All of a sudden we got one drug addict with another drug. This is amazing. And for another thing, you can talk all the smack you want. When you talk about my family and you talk about my fans, this shit gets personal. A punk ass kid like you, with the little mask that he put on, you're gonna put this as a fighter. Bad boys back, baby.
But I still have the mic. Check it out on Spike. Thank you so much. Stephen Bonner versus Tito Ortiz.
Full credit to Jimmy Smith.
Do you have any regrets the way the Tito Stephen Bonner segment went?
You know what? To be brutally honest, we told them, guys, look, let's not get this crazy. Let's just keep it simple and announce the fight, interview you guys, everybody goes home. And Mike Mazzulli came up to me and said, hey, make sure they don't touch each other or get into the situation where, like the Jones DC scramble. So we tried to make that happen, honestly. And what you saw out there was, I think, serious heated emotion. And I don't know. I know Justin McCulley. I don't know what he means to Tito. I don't know what happened, but obviously there's some bad blood there between those two. And hence the mask. For a second there, I thought I was like in a Japanese pro wrestling event or something, right?
When you saw it, did you get flashbacks of Nashville?
No, I knew that we weren't going to go that far because the cage was much clearer. It was cleared by the time that they went there. But you know what? I told him, I said, Tito, calm down. Justin, calm down. I don't know what the beef is, but they definitely have some beef. And Tito was steamy. Even when he left, he was still pretty riled up. So it's going to be interesting on Saturday night. The athletes that are here in this roster, there's a good base to build off of, but we have to build more. We have to build more athletes, have to build more stars. Because at the end of the day, the fight business really is about being in the star fight business and not just being in the fighter business.
His talking point coming out of Friday night was not any of the fights. It was Tito Ortiz, Stephen Bonner, and the mystery man, Justin McCulley, who nobody knew when they unmasked him here. And it's led to lots of vitriol online about, man, is this going to be an indication of where things go with Bellator? Are we going to see constant angles, for lack of a better term at this point? It's something that, good or bad, people are definitely discussing it. I think the jury's out until we know, are people interested in seeing this fight on November the 15th? And that's kind of where it'll be bore out. But it was over the top and goofy.
So there you have it. Maybe one of the most famous moments in Bellator history. I don't know if you're a fan of it, if you're not a fan of it. Kind of cringy, but, they went in there, they did their thing to build up that fight. And you see the direction that Scott Coker is trying to bring the promotion right away, because he's talking about star building. They're kind of cutting angles like it's a wrestling promotion. So it seems like they're going to try to use these stars at the top, draw people in, and hopefully build up build up Bellator talent, homegrown Bellator talent. So let's see if that's the direction that they go in, or how Scott Coker is going to continue to bring this promotion here. And so let's fast forward to Bellator 131. The event is here. We got Tito Ortiz, Stephen Bonner. Let's see if the whole promotion paid off in terms of viewership. This is going to be just a regular show on Spike, so they're looking to gain as many eyeballs as they can and promote some of these other people that they have on the card. For instance, like King Mo. Obviously, they got Joe Schilling versus Melvin Manhoff, which is a 6 striking fight. And then their 2 homegrown stars, Michael Chandler and Will Brooks. So let's see how they build up this event even further, the results of this event, and then if it was a successful event for Bellator or not.
I can't believe people I think we're actually friends and we sit and scripted this. No, I can't stand the guy. I think he's a jerk. I think he's a selfish prick. And I think the fact that Paul Herrera did help me for this fight says a lot. He's known Tito 25 years. He's the one who got him into wrestling in high school. He's the one who was in his corner for his last fight. If that doesn't tell you a lot, I don't know what does. It tells you that he has no loyalty to his friends. He's all about himself. And I don't like that in a person. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I got my problems. I know that. But hey, my friends can count on me. He's a selfish jerk.
Loyalty to friends. When my training partners, my coaches leave somebody else for money, I think loyalty goes the other way. And it shows you can buy someone their loyalty with money. That shows what type of friends they truly are. I'm glad I shake myself the riddance of leeches, and the leeches are gone. I live my life in a positive manner. I'm ready for this fight. This guy's spouting at the side of his neck. All he's heard is nothing but lies. So all you hear is lies. And on Saturday night, I'm gonna shut him up once and for all. Stephanie Bonner will be my bitch.
Michael Chandler's career in Bellator has been defined by these epic wars, these bloody back and forth trials of will. You only have so many of those in a career. The question is, can he have another fight like that against Will Brooks? You can't depend on being able to physically outlast Will Brooks over and over and over again. Because Will Brooks physically, that dude's a freaky athlete. What impressed me in their first fight was Brooks' ability to kind of keep the pace at 8 for 5 rounds. Brooks kept the pressure on to the point where when Chandler was at a 6 or at a 5, he made him really pay.
Kevin McDonald taking a really close look. All Will Brooks at the moment.
Right now he's on a confidence high. He believes he's the champion. He believes he's the best. He believes he can beat Michael Chandler. He'll never be in a better position to beat Michael Chandler than he's in now. Keys to victory for Michael Chandler. Michael Chandler has to be smarter. He needs to be more mature. He needs to fight a more seasoned fight against Will Brooks. Other key to victory is the easiest. Make it about wrestling. When he had energy and was focused on his takedown, he took Will Brooks down pretty easily. He's got to be judicious and use his takedown effectively. For Will Brooks, the first round, he needs to win the mental battle. This is my belt. You're not going to take it from me. Early in the first round, make a statement and do the same thing he did in the first fight. Take advantage of every single mistake Michael Chandler makes. Take advantage of every single one. That's what Brooks has to do.
For the lightweight world championship, 155 pounds, Iron Michael Chandler versus Ill Will Brooks.
Face it up. Okay, everybody, I'm in shape. You better be in shape, partner. It's gonna be a fight.
Our main event of the evening at 205 pounds, the American Psycho, Stephan Bonner versus the People's Champion, Tito Ortiz. Give it up for him.
Keep it professional, guys. Keep it professional. All right, guys, that's it. Face the camera. Face that way, guys.
Casino Center in San Diego, California. Let's get right to it in the light heavyweight division with Joe Vitapo taking on King Mo.
We knew King Mo had a physical advantage. He established that throughout this fight, getting an early takedown, ground and pound all over Joe Vitapo. Joe Vitapo talked about heart, guts, and determination coming into this fight, and that's what he used to stay in it against King Mo, but he was outmatched for 3 rounds until the third, when King Mo got this takedown, stayed on top, and got the ground and pound finish early into round number 3.
On then to a fight at the catchweight of 143 pounds, Nam Phan versus Mike Richmond.
We knew Mike Richmond had power. Everything he threw landed against Nam Phan. Lefts, rights, he has a lethal left hand, and it showed. Look at the ending combination here against the fence, the right hand. And that is all she wrote early in the first round for Nam Phan.
Next up, 2 explosive middleweights, 2 world-class kickboxers. Joe Schilling facing Melvin Manoff.
Melvin Manoff starting out strong, landing some hard punches against Joe Schilling. Joe Schilling going to the guard, trying to use his defense on the ground to stay in the fight. And then here, a shot by Melvin Manoff has Schilling moving backward, but he runs into a beautifully timed combination that ends the fight in the second round.
Then, the fight for Bellator's lightweight world title. Michael Chandler, the former champion, versus Will Brooks, the interim champion.
Michael Chandler trying to move forward throughout this fight using head movement and attacking. Will Brooks sniping from the outside, a back and forth fight, but here's where it ended. The right hand of Will Brooks, and look at Michael Chandler confused, almost waving off the fight. Will Brooks all over him. Jason Herzog calls an end to the fight in the 4th round.
And we conclude the night with our main event. So much animosity between the light heavyweights, Stephan Bonnar and Tito Ortiz.
Stephan Bonnar landing the jab on the outside. Tito Ortiz going in for the takedown and landing some short punches of his own. It was another back and forth fight, but Tito Ortiz having a little bit more in the 3rd round, landing some short punches and ending the rounds with takedowns. That's extremely important. Stephan Bonnar, a bloody mess at the end of the fight. He wanted to get cut, he wanted to get bloody, and he did, as Tito Ortiz wins a split decision victory.
For the latest Bellator.
And there it is. Tito Ortiz gets the win over Stephan Bonnar, moves to 2-0 in Bellator. First of all, shout out to Stephan Bonnar, rest in peace to him, but lost a split decision that night. Will Brooks also retained his title against Michael Chandler, beating him for the 2nd time in a row. And the main event, lackluster main event, 2 older guys that kind of, like they said, looked a little sloppy, tired, but Tito was able to push a little bit harder later in the fight. And then Will Brooks got the victory over Michael Chandler, which was more the main event for probably the Bellator fans. And but let's see, was this a successful event for Bellator? That's kind of the question that they have to answer here. Was setting up Tito Ortiz or Stephan Bonnar, having the whole build-up the way that they did it, worth it for the promotion? And here you could see why the trend continued, because if you read right here, this was the most successful event to date in Bellator history. They averaged 1.8 million viewers, hit a high of 2 million viewers. It was the highest rated MMA fight on cable in 2014. So, incredible event for Bellator in terms of viewership, but obviously the main indicator for them is going to be if those fans stick around and watch Bellator events without those stars on the show. But overall, Bellator, that event was a success for Scott Coker and did what it intended. And the next fight we're going to talk about is just on the next card, Bellator 132, because it starts the beginning of another rivalry in the Bellator promotion, and it's 2 of the higher level guys fighting in that weight class during that time, Daniel Straus and Patricio Pitbull facing off for the title.
The fans need to appreciate and understand how badly both of these guys want it. Pitbull is so motivated to keep that belt. It's finally his, he doesn't want to give him up. Daniel Straus lost his title. I know that haunts his dreams. Both of these guys want that belt so badly. Daniel Straus versus the champ Patricio Pitbull for the 145-pound title. It's a huge fight. It's a rematch. They have fought before. Daniel Straus, known for his wrestling, his ability to grind guys down. He's a giant at 145 pounds. But against Justin Wilcox in his last fight in Bellator, a knockout in the 1st round. He says, I'm a finisher now. I've changed up my game. There's no more 5-round decisions. Patricio Pitbull, a knockout puncher at 145 pounds. He has power that I think pound for pound he's the hardest hitter in MMA, and it's short range power. Hard to take down, and he hits hard. The difference in this fight is, will the weight cut take a lot out of Daniel Straus? It's been tough before. He's had to shave his head to make it. Will he have the energy for a 4th round, a 5th round? I don't think he had the energy for the 5th round against Pat Curran. That's why he's not still the champion. Key to victory for Daniel Straus is get the takedown going, get it going early and often, and make Pitbull work hard every single round. Don't let him take the round by hurting you, which is what he did against Pat Curran. He's able to hurt Pat Curran and take close rounds by showing damage. He can't do that. He has to decisively win every round. If you are Pitbull, avoid the takedown and hurt Daniel Straus on the inside. Hurt him close when he's trying to put you against the fence and muscle you around. Hurt him with body shots, hurt him with hooks, give him a reason to back off. He won the first fight because Daniel Strauss was hesitant to get inside and use his wrestling advantage. Follow that path to victory and keep your title. Josh has to be careful here. If he commits to the Kimura, Pitbull can't step over an armbar.
See, that's what Strauss is doing, looking for the Kimura, has the figure 4.
You won't get it without guard. You put yourself in trouble like this.
Pitbull now looking to finish with the rear naked choke.
He's got it.
McCarthy taking a really close look. This is tight.
I can't see how deep it is from here.
Pitbull locking it on. 14 seconds, 13 remaining in the round. He got it. There is the tap.
And Patricio keeps his belt in the main event of that fight. So obviously he continues to build his legacy up. But I will say, if you're looking at it from a viewership perspective, they had a 1.2 million views high. I think it was like 740,000 average. So it wasn't a big carryover from the Tito Ortiz fight. That was similar to what they were getting before that fight. So that may be signs to come, but let's keep going. And the next fight we're going to quickly touch on is Liam McGarry versus Emmanuel Newton, because Emmanuel Newton at this point was the longtime light heavyweight champion. He ended up losing his belt, ending his reign here. Liam McGarry got the win via decision. King Moe continued to prove that he's still one of the top fighters in Bellator at this point, getting the win over Czech Congo at heavyweight. That was kind of a bad fight, though. And then Paul Daly makes his return to Bellator, where he's going to play a key role in the years going forward, and he's obviously a notable name, knockout artist, beast, legend. So he makes his return to Bellator, gets a decision victory, and Liam McGarry ends up having a big fight that we're going to talk about coming up soon. So this is what happened on this card. Next fight card that we're going to be talking about is Bellator 138. This is another infamous Bellator card where I think, they're going down the freak show, clown show, circus show route, whatever you want to call it. And they had the Tito Ortiz versus Stephan Bonnar, where at least that's respectable, a UFC champ against a UFC legend. But now they're going... It is a UFC champion, a legend in the game, Ken Shamrock. But at this point, Ken Shamrock was extremely old on a long losing streak. And they matched him up with Kimbo Slice in a supposed grudge match where these guys were supposed to fight years and years ago. They were going to fight, I believe, in Strikeforce, Elite XC, one of those promotions like that. And Ken Shamrock ended up having to pull out very quick, very short before the fight because he slipped in the back, and then Kimbo ended up getting knocked out by Seth Petrozelli. So I can see why Kimbo may hold a grudge, because that was kind of a huge loss for Kimbo in that moment in his life. But once again, Bellator going the route of kind of theater over the best fighting the best, and that is kind of the theme of this era of Bellator. But as you see, they did stack the card there with a lot of their homegrown stars. They're hoping to build them off the backs of this main event. So we'll see if this strategy goes 2 for 2. Obviously, the first time they did it, they popped a big number with the Tito Ortiz fight. And let's hear how they try to justify this main event, some of the build-up, and then how these fights went down.
Brandine and Robin Black. And guys, the countdown is officially on. We are into the month of June. It's TikTok until Shamrock Kimbo.
Can't wait.
After all these years, I thought 2008, that was going to be our one opportunity to see the fight. It fell out of our hands during the day of the fight, June 19th. I can't wait for this.
Well, you and I, what's interesting, we were talking about Bellator last night on our way to Jiu-Jitsu and how people are still interested in Kimbo, and it's Bellator's responsibility, especially now with this entire Reebok situation. You know that it's soured a lot of fighters, and you would expect that Scott Coker and the Bellator organization and Viacom are having all these meetings about, okay, which fighters, whose contract's coming up, which guys should we go after? And again, it's a Trojan horse situation where Kimbo and Ken Shamrock bring the casual eyeballs there, and then it's it's Scott Coker's responsibility to load that undercard and make sure there's world-class fights.
I forget sometimes what the hell I'm talking about, or even what I like, because I don't think I like this fight. But I also understand that if people like fighting, if more people watch fighting, that's good for fighting. That's good for the other fighters. That's good for shows like ours. It's good for the business. So that's really good. I don't care about Kimbo Slice. I never really did. I'm sorry. It's neat that the guy beat guys up in backyards. I think that's pretty neat. Yeah. But I'm a big fan of martial arts. I like Ken Shamrock more than I like a lot more.
But you don't know what
Ken's a
Kimbo's
pioneer.
been doing for the last 2 years. Who knows? He has that affiliation with American Top Team. They're a mixed martial arts gym. Maybe he's there wrestling and doing jiu-jitsu.
Maybe he is.
Maybe he is.
I mean, sure.
You know,
maybe.
because
We were talking to Kimbo a couple months back, finally got a deal done, and then I ran into Ken at the Fan Fest in San Diego in November, and I said, wow, he's in great shape, and started talking to him, and then he announced his bare knuckle fight. We started talking to his manager, Des. Des said, is there some interest? And that's how this fight got put together, and we're expecting a great fight.
Friday, two of the biggest names in MMA.
I was born to fight. Let's do this.
Kimbo wants to brawl. I will destroy him.
Finally meet live and free on Spike.
This is the must-see card of the year.
Featuring featherweight world champion Patricio Pitbull, battling submission ace Daniel Weichel.
He tapped.
And the heavyweight showdown when Lashley meets Charles, plus former champ Michael Chandler.
Wow. Enough talk. It's time to fight.
Bellator MMA, Kimbo versus Shamrock, presented by Miller Lite, Friday at 9 on.
You ready? Get it on. The bell in round number 1.
Kimbo pointing to the center of the cage. I think he's daring Shamrock to stand and trade with him. Shamrock wants none of it.
Tonight's Fight Clock is brought to you by Miller Lite, the original Pilsner. Cheers. It's Miller time. Outside trip hit by Ken Shamrock. He's wearing the blue gloves, red gloves for Kimbo Slice.
One of the problems with that size disparity I talked about is going to have a hard time holding Kimbo down. Got the takedown, couldn't keep him there.
Shamrock with wrist control. Knee to the body. Slice said Shamrock is most dangerous in the opening 3 minutes, then I think he will fade.
Shamrock wants to keep the fight here. Does not want to be at punching range with Kimbo. The problem is this is very taxing, especially if you're the smaller guy and they break.
There is the separation. Level change, the single leg, and hit by Shamrock. Now taking the back, both hooks in.
That was an easy takedown for Ken.
Looking for the rear naked choke. A bit of crank on that.
Oh, it's under the neck.
Chin. That is tight. That is very tight. Shamrock looking to finish.
I think he's got it.
McCarthy taking a really close look.
Kimbo's not tapping though. He is still fighting. How long can Ken hold this? Because positionally this is done, but he's just not able to put enough into it yet. He's out, I think. Nope, he's still with it. Saw that arm drop, but he's still with it.
Shamrock full commitment, but has crossed his angles. Lost both hooks. Still deep, still tight.
But if Ken doesn't get this, will he have any arm strength left? And Kimbo's out.
Slice back to his feet and unloading with the right hand. It was all Ken Shamrock, now all Kimbo Slice. Drop Shamrock and the count for behind win in the Bellator.
For MMA fighting just after Bellator 138 next to Bellator president Scott Coker. Scott, I think I speak for the entire Twitterverse when I ask, what was that? I mean, in a good way, but what was that?
Ken Shamrock fight. God, and Ken had him completely stretched out with
I got to tell you right now, that fight looked fake as fuck.
That's what I was going to think. Literally, that's what I thought.
There's a couple things I don't like about that fight. I don't like that clinch, that long clinch that they had where they were mouth to ear. They were mouth to each other's ears for a long
no one was really striking.
Time.
Like if you're Ken and you're a wrestler, I'm popping those elbows and fucking taking you down.
How about the fact that when
he had him stretched out,
when Ken did take him down, he never hit him once. How about that? He never hit him. He had him down. He had him flattened out. He had his back, and he's not crashing him. He's not blasting him with punches.
True.
He's got him flattened out, and he's not hitting him. That doesn't make any sense.
He also
had a full choke.
I know, but he's also 51.
That's true.
And a fighter 51.
That's true. You're 100% correct.
And I watched every one, right? I watch all of Bellator, I watch all of UFC, I watch everything. So the Bellator, when the entrances, I was like, this is so dope. It was kind of like the pride and all that. Then I was on board. You had me. You had Big Brown on board. But then when Ken Shamrock walked out, I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, a lot of people watched that last show. A lot of people. And, I don't know what they thought of Kimbo versus Ken. Some of them liked it, some of them didn't, and ESPN reported on it. I mean, it got a lot of attention, but the rest of this card was fantastic. You got to figure some of those people are now like, oh, that thing that isn't the UFC, that's a lot like the UFC, that's really good. Oh, it's on again, let's watch it. But they definitely won't get that kind of number again. They have become a promotion that goes and puts on big events that are this big, and then the rest of their stuff is that big. But, that works. You kind of look at what...
And so ultimately that was Bellator 138, and the rest of the card was really good. But as you see, most of the time I pull up the rest of the card, I show you the whole thing, but it wasn't even worth it at this time because the only thing everyone was talking about was this main event, and it just shows the flaw in this model where you do enough of these fights, man, and you're going to get something like this where was it a fix? Was it not a fix? I mean, you guys could put down in the comments what you think, but definitely was a fight that shouldn't be a main event on a high-quality MMA promotion at that time. So it just looked really, really clownish, and, it got people talking. It popped a big number, but it just showed that Bellator was still in this transition period where Scott Coker, he's taken over the company. He has done a few events now at this point, and I feel like Bellator is getting more viewership. You could look at it in that perspective and say that he's doing a good job, and I think that was hard pressed. But I feel like the earlier model of Bellator when they were first coming up in the first 100 shows was a lot more sustainable, and they were doing a good job. At this point, they aren't totally done with this freak show fight model because it gets viewership. They had the Tito Ortiz or Stephan Bonner fight that got views. This fight got another high number for them. So you're not going to see, or you are going to see Ken Shamrock again. You are going to see Kimbo Slice again fight in the Bellator cage. But this is nearing the end of the era of the freak show fights and the kind of craziness for Bellator. They only continue it for a little bit longer. I would say that is what defines this era of Bellator, though. Bellator, the beginning tenure of Scott Coker, is kind of the freak show fights. Was it a fixed fight? Was it not a fixed fight era? Trying to get the brand bigger, but doing it in an unconventional way. So I'm going to leave it at that for part 3. This was the, freak show and weird era of Bellator. I feel like this was a bad era for Bellator, but maybe it was needed to build the brand. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that they should have went this route with the promotion, or do you think this was the start of the reason why maybe it didn't become successful and the brand kind of sullied itself? So put it down in the comments, but we are going to be continuing this saga.